have like 2-3 minutes left, so I want to take a few questions. Here in the front.
Okay. So, a question for Mike.
Yes.
I guess you saw this coming. So, I'm coming from an assumption that you're not part of those legally protected characteristics. You're just a plain middle class, middle-aged white guy. Is that correct?
Certainly not plain.
I didn't see that coming, but now that, yes, and I'm an openly gay man in the firm. So when someone said here about feeling excluded or feeling different, I grew up in a firm. For 30 years I've been here. Being openly gay was not something that was fully accepted at PwC when I started,
Yeah.
and over time I'm really proud of where the firm has evolved internally and externally around the LGBT community. So coming into this role, I have that dimension of diversity, but I feel it's really important to pay it forward for all dimensions of diversity for what the firm has done for me.
Excellent. So the question then kind of morphs into, do you think a chief diversity officer that is just a middle-aged white guy, would he make it as a chief diversity officer, and would that make a difference for engaging men in the workplace?
The emphasis has been on middle-aged.
White guy.
White guy. I keep hearing just middle-aged, but I do absolutely, because I think what we're talking about here today and engaging white men in the workplace as allies, as just a different part of the conversation, I think is incredibly important to our strategy. And you think about there's still the majority, but soon to be the minority at some point in time. I think you can't do what we're trying to do around diversity and inclusion with only talking to our diverse staff. So we're trying very hard to energize what we're doing around white men in the workplace.
Thank you. Over here.
Okay, so we've been watching the new administration now for 9 months or whatever it is, and a lot of leaders from the world of commerce deciding they don't want to be affiliated with certain policies, certain practices that they see coming from the current administration. So what I wonder of our leaders on stage is, how are your employees pushing you as companies to take a stand on some of these social issues, which is a dicey situation, I would imagine, and maybe we'll start with Lesley, just because I know her.
I somehow knew you were going to get that over to me. But I'll say this.
I'm really interested in how our employees actually pushing the enterprise to take a stand and be more vocal and so forth.
The views I represent are my own and not of my company. Great question. Our people are pushing us hard, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. We are fortunately being led by a leader that is willing to step up and take a stand. Our CEO has signed the CEO in Action pledge, and it's more than just a pledge for us. It is a way of life. It's a way of work. It's a part of our DNA. It's how we work. It's how we behave, and I hope it's how we represent ourselves on a regular basis. I will say, personally, I would love to see us be even more proactive than we are today. A lot of our statements, our comments have been reactionary to a lot of the societal issues that are going on, but we're in it. We're in the game. In some cases, we're more proactive than in other cases. You'll see us leveling that out. But for HP, it is that as we've split into two companies, we're just approaching year 2 in November. We have a new CEO that has risen up from the business into CEO status, and he's finding his voice. And we have an environment in which we like to call people into the conversation rather than call them out. And so we're allowing him that space to grow. He's found his voice, and he's now taking action. Thanks for the question.
The push is very active, and no surprise, in our organization, we're a mission-driven organization. We attract people who feel very strongly about the mission of providing healthcare and equity and so forth. And we're highly diverse. And so when policy issues are on the table about people's backgrounds, their ethnicity, immigrant status, and so on, if it doesn't impact people individually, it impacts people that they know and love, family, or our patients, and so on. So the way that we try to manage that is, one, creating safe spaces for people to have those conversations. And we understand when you talk about the political realm, one, as a not-for-profit company, we clearly don't take political positions in a public sense. We use those opportunities to inform our values, our commitment, and as relates to what we know and learned about healthcare policy, we talk about our results and where we think there are opportunities. So we definitely inform and engage policy. We allow people to have space to have those conversations inside, and we recognize not everybody sees these issues the same way. So if you're going to create inclusive conversations and safe space, the fact that people have a particular view has to be part of those conversations as well. But our CEO really takes each of these opportunities, particularly on the inside of our organization, to make sure that our guideposts are our values and our mission and our commitment to that. And the way he phrases it is, our organization is a little bit over 70 years old, and through that 70 years, we've gone through lots of administrations and haven't always agreed with policies or practices or changes in the law. But we continue in all that time to stay committed to our values and our mission, and that's our guideposts. And I think 70 years into it, we're doing pretty well.
Any other questions? Here.
Hey folks, excellent to hear your expertise and your experience. I really love it. So question, a lot of conversation about diversity. One of the challenges I feel is challenging us as a corporate America is we focus a lot on the kind of, as Florina said, the 10 key areas of a diversity about gender and race and color and religion and things like that. But obviously diversity is much broader than that. So how do we measure like cognitive diversity? Because that's more than just numbers. That's one. And the second is inclusion. How are you guys measuring inclusion? Because in some ways it's more important than just diversity.